Hello, interweb. It's your boy, Mr. Hosking, and I'm here to talk to you about what's the haps with World War II. Why does World War II start? Well, let's look at the four major reasons. The first reason is going to be the Treaty of Versailles. This is the treaty signed at end of World War I. Basically, in the entire document, all it says is Germany, it's your fault. We looked at causes of World War I, and there were so many of them. Militarism, everybody in Europe is militarizing. We looked at alliance system, everybody in Europe is allying with different people. We looked at imperialism, some countries have stuff, some countries don't have stuff. The Europeans, the winners, especially the big three, Woodrow Wilson, George Clemenceau, and Lloyd George, they forget all of those causes and they blame Germany. We beat you, so we're going to blame you, so we can make you pay for this war. So let's see what's in the Treaty of Versailles that really starts World War II. One, Germany lost lands to surrounding neighbors. This necessarily isn't the worst thing in the world, except it's filled with German people who believe they should be part of Germany. The second problem is war reparations. War reparations is paying back debt for the war for other countries and for destruction of other countries. Remember, the war is not fought in Germany for World War I. It's fought completely on the Western Front in France and Belgium, and on the Eastern Front in Russia. So the Allies collect money to pay back war debts to the United States. The United States is loaning money to France and Great Britain to fight the war. Now they have to pay back. So they're going to make Germany pay them to pay the United States. It equivalents $57 trillion. That's a lot of money. It bankrupts Germany, their economy, and it embarrasses the Germans. They're mad that they have to pay back because a lot of people living in Germany didn't think they lost the war. They're still living in Germany like, hey, we didn't even fight here. You guys didn't come take us over. Like, how did we possibly lose the war? It's our corrupt government that did this. The second cause of World War I is going to be worldwide depression. Let me tell you a quick joke. Where does depression hurt? Wherever they're pressing. Get it? Because they're pressing, depression. Depression means you're short on money. Mr. Cope's in the room and he's laughing. I don't know why you're not laughing. He found it funny. The depression makes your money worthless. It makes the value of your dollar less and less, and it makes Germany's debt even worse. German dollars couldn't pay the loans back to France and Great Britain in their dollar because their dollar is totally worthless. You can see this picture on the side here. This young man is wallpapering his house with German dollars because they're worthless. It costs less to use dollar bills to wallpaper than to actually try and buy wallpaper. Wallpaper is more expensive than the dollar bill at this point. Desperate people turn to desperate leaders. When things are going wrong, you're going to want somebody to help you, to somebody to make it better, somebody that's going to make outlandish claims. You can look at the election of 2016 United States at both candidates on both sides and their outlandish claims of bringing communism or building walls. Like, that's outlandish because people are desperate in our country. Things aren't going great in our country. And so they turn to desperate leaders. In World War II, Germany, Hitler seems to provide a lot of solutions to German problems. On top of providing solutions, he also makes it not your fault. It's not your fault that we're in debt. It's not your fault that we lost the war. He finds people to blame. And who does he like to blame? He likes to blame the Jews. So he creates a scapegoat for Germany's problems. He blames Jews, but not just Jews. He also blames foreigners. He blames communists. He blames the Roma, or who we would call the gypsies. He blames mentally ill people. He blames homosexuals. It's all of those minority peoples that are at fault. It's not our fault. We're German. We're awesome. We couldn't have made things bad. It had to be these other people. Let's go get them. And they do. They go get them. Kristallnacht is known as the night of broken glass. It's vandalism and destruction of Jewish property in synagogues, and it's really the start to the Holocaust. The third cause for World War II is going to be a rise in totalitarian regimes. I know in my classroom we talked about how awesome it is that the first 5 letters of totalitarian are total, because that's the definition of the word. Total control in the government. In a totalitarian country, individuals, they don't care about individuals. They look at the nation more than individuals. They have total control over every aspect of life. And so there's three major groups of totalitarians that we see come around. We see communist dictatorship is a totalitarian government in the Soviet Union. We see fascist dictatorships or total totalitarian dictators in Germany and Italy. And we see military dictatorship, a total dictatorship of control in Japan. The problem with totalitarian is that all the power rests in one person or one small group of people's hands, and they can make irrational decisions very quickly. So they can just decide to say, I don't know, if we want to control Austria, let's just take them over and invade. And like, boom, let's just do it. And you do it tomorrow. It's not a system of checks and balances like in the United States. The fourth reason for the cause of World War I is isolation of major powers. Isolationism is the moving away from focusing outside of your country and focusing solely on the inside of your country. The United States becomes an isolationist nation. We have the Great Depression at home. We have a lot of problems inside of our country. People don't have jobs. People are starving. Some of the best estimates are that 30% or 40% of the population is unemployed. Like, these are huge numbers of people that can't feed themselves. And we don't have the programs that our country has today that can help those people, like unemployment or welfare. Those programs don't exist. So it's people like losing their homes, losing their cars, living in boxes or hovels in the streets or in the parks, trying to fend for themselves. So it's a huge issue that we're trying to deal with at our own country that we can't deal with other countries' problems at the time. We also have this perception of World War I that war is hell, and it is. And it's a European problem. If Europe is having problems, they need to deal with it themselves. It did not seem to solve the problems that they had after fighting. And then, like, we have these countries that owe us money and they're having trouble paying us back. So, like, why do we want to get involved? Also, people think that we got involved in World War I for the wrong reason. A lot of business people got very wealthy because of the production in the United States during World War I. You could talk about the 1% in our country at that time are doing very well, and everybody else seems to be starving. If you've ever seen the musical Annie, it's kind of based on this whole premises where Daddy Warbucks is like super wealthy, and the rest of the people are living miserably in the streets. There's also an opposition to the war, right? There's this idea of pacifism. Make love, not war. The Washington Conference limits the size of our country's Navy. The Kellogg-Briand Act condemns war as a way of solving conflicts. We should use other means. We should use negotiations. We should use economic pressure, but we shouldn't fight. That's not the right way to solve a conflict. This also leads to the policy of appeasement, which is giving into a dictator what they want. I always use the example of a bully. If a bully comes along and pushes you around and says, give me your lunch money, and you give him the lunch money instead of fighting, you're appeasing that bully. And that's really what the United States is doing. That's what England does. That's what France does. Germany starts to grow, starts to break the law, starts to do things that it's not supposed to in the Treaty of Versailles. Takes over Austria in what's known as the Anschluss, the combining of those two countries, and it's against the Treaty of Versailles. But Britain doesn't want to fight. France doesn't want to fight. The United States doesn't fight. So they say, listen, if you want to take over Austria, go ahead. Just that's it, okay? Like, stop bothering us. And then they want to take over Czechoslovakia, and then they want to take over Poland, and they keep taking and taking and taking because nobody is stopping them. And by the time that these countries now realize, like, oh man, this appeasement idea is not working, it's too late, and it leads to the full war. It also happens with Japan. Japan invades Manchuria, and the rest of the world is like, fine, you can take over Manchuria, don't bother us. Italy invades Ethiopia, and the rest of the world is like, fine, Italy, you can have Ethiopia. Just like end it there. Let's not get into a war. That would be silly. And it just keeps continuing, and Japan continues to increase its size. Italy increases its size, and Japan increases its size. I hope this helps you understand why World War II happens. I'm your boy, Mr. Hosking. That's the Haps. See you later.